question still remains. Is Pep Guardiola the greatest manager in football history? Get in the comments and give us your answer. We'll be looking out for every single one.